welcome back to a little bit of Calm and Crazy. My name is Jennifer, and today I have a huge wreath to share with you. I really wanted a wreath that would fill out my door, something that you could see from the road and would be interchangeable, something that I could use all year long and change out with the different holidays and seasons. So I hope that you enjoy this wreath as much as I do. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad that you are here. I hope you will take a moment and introduce yourself in the comments below. If you have not hit that subscribe button, I hope you will consider doing so before you leave. And if you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would give it a big thumbs up. If you don't know it, you can find me on Instagram. It is a little bit of Calm and Crazy over there, just like it is here. And let's go ahead and get into the video. For the base of the wreath, all you need are 2 hula hoops, a larger one and a smaller one. Both of these did come from Dollar Tree, and some zip ties. So I use the zip ties in order to secure the hula hoops together, and I put the zip ties all the way around the hula hoop, starting with first one side of the hula hoop, making sure that I did not completely zip it tight, and then I went to the other opposite side and secured that side. That was my first, so I would have the correct spacing between the 2 hula hoops, because you will have that little bit of spacing that you want. After that, I went to the top of the hula hoop and did the zip tie there, and then I went to the bottom of the hula hoop and did that one. Once I had the 4 corners, or the 4 sides done, corners, whatever you want to call that, I then went to its diagonal partners and I filled in zip ties just to make sure it was extra secure, that nothing was slipping, and that it stayed exactly where I wanted it. That might be overkill, but it was already in place. It was super easy. I had the zip ties, so that is what I did. After that, I went ahead and I cut off any of the extra tail hanging off of the zip ties, and now it is ready to be covered in burlap. I am so grateful I had this huge burlap that I got from burlapfabric.com, but you can use whatever you already have on hand. If you happen to have some burlap that you got from Dollar Tree, that would be perfect and it would work just as well. You will need to hot glue as you go, because you will need multiples of that. What I love about this is I'm able to just keep going and I won't have to stop. So this is a 4-inch burlap. I will have this as well as everything else that I use in a supply list linked below, so that you can just refer back to that if you want to. So as always, when I'm doing this, I start off with adding a little bit of hot glue in order to secure the burlap down. Now, because the hula hoop has such a wide opening, I'm able to just leave the burlap all together instead of cutting it off. So that's what I did, because I didn't want to waste any of my burlap. So just taking your burlap, you're going to wrap it all the way around, and when you get to the very end, then I just take some hot glue and I secure that down, and there I have a wreath that is ready to be decorated. For the sign in the center, I'm going with a mason jar because I'm using the back of the sign. It doesn't matter which mason jar you pick up. Just go ahead and grab whichever one you can find in store. Start off, I am removing the fruit from the front of the sign. Now this is a little extra. You probably don't have to do this, but I wanted to go ahead and remove this. I thought about trying to make this a double-sided sign, and I might at some point, and that is why I chose to go ahead and do this. So now you see that I'm using my box cutter, and I'm going in here and I'm just scoring the handle, because I'm going to be removing the handle. I go in with a very light hand to score at first, and I will score both the front of the handle as well as the back of the handle. And then I go in a little bit deeper with a little bit more force after I have it scored. And that keeps my blade in line, and it helps me to stay where I need to stay. And that, I find, is the easiest way to do this. I really like using a box cutter for this kind of thing. I feel like I have a little bit more control when I use the box cutter. So I do this with the handle, and I do the exact same thing with the straw. I remove both of those. To smooth out my edges after getting them off, I do go in with a piece of sandpaper and just take it over the edges, and that takes care of any rough edges. Now, because I did say that I might make this a double-sided sign, I went ahead and I took some sandpaper to get rid of that glitter on that front side of the sign. Here you see that I am using some wood filler to cover or fill in the holes where the sign was, the string where the sign was originally hung from. I won't be using those holes, and I don't like to have those just wide open. Once that completely dries, I go in with some sandpaper to sand those so that they are flush with the rest of the sign. Using some black acrylic paint or chalk paint or whatever you have on hand, go ahead and paint your sign completely, the back as well as the sides. Once it has dried, take a piece of paper and trace out your jar as best as you can. Now, the jar won't fit on the paper completely, so you won't get the top of it traced out, but you will get the main part of the jar. Now, this is a little extra. If you want to freehand, you'll see what I mean in a moment. You don't have to do this. This is for somebody that is not comfortable freehanding, just a little extra suggestion or tip. So go ahead and cut that out, and then you're actually going to trim inside. And here's what you see. I'm going to cut it down just a little bit. The easiest way would be probably to fold this over in half and then trim it down so they match up, but I did not do that. I'm just trimming it down. I'm eyeballing that. So for you perfectionist, I would just fold it in half so that your sides are equal. And then you're going to take this down and you're going to use this as your template so that you know exactly where you want your lines to be. And here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Now you can place this down and trace around it so that you have an outline of where you want to go in with your white paint to do your little border of your jar. Again, you can freehand this. This is just for somebody that is not comfortable freehanding. So using some white paint, I'm using Waverly's chalk paint in white. You're going to take a small detailed brush and you're going to go around those edges. Again, freehanding it or going where you outlined it already, and you're going to trace out your jar. Now, what you did not do was go over your lid, so you will need to either freehand that or do something similar to what we did at the beginning and draw out a template for yourself, and you will need to trace out your lid as well. Once you have your lid traced out, now it is time to do a little bit more detail work inside of your lid, and you need to just take a screenshot of what I did right here so that you can see what I did. That's the easiest way to know how to describe it, because you're going to kind of have some random lines. There's also options online if you need to look at some other ideas if you don't like my lines as much. It's just some shorter lines and some longer lines that are coming across the lid to make it look like that mason jar. If you don't feel comfortable going straight in with the paint, then take a pencil and sketch out your lines first and do it that way, because you can always erase. Now do remember that it is paint. If you make a mistake, you can go in with just a little bit of black paint to touch up anything that you did make a mistake with and fix any of those little painting boo-boos. Somehow I lost the clip of me adding the little light reflective white line inside of the mason jar when I painted that one on, but I did add that along that little top curve on the left hand side. So that is the one other thing that I did add. I hope that I have explained or showed this well enough for you to duplicate this on your own if you choose to do that. When everything is painted and dry, then you can move on to the phrase that you're going to put on your mason jar. And in my case, I'm using this stencil that I also found at Dollar Tree. I loved this Home Sweet Home. I was so excited to find this. For extra security, I went ahead and taped all four sides down. I did not want this moving. I'm going in with my little daubing sponge tool in order to stencil the chalk paint onto my sign. Now, as you will notice, I am not stenciling the little hearts that are in the corner. I did not want those. And because I don't like the texture that the little sponge gives, it's a little bumpy, lumpy, I am going in with my paintbrush just to smooth that out in between each thing. So that's just a personal choice, a little extra. You don't have to do that. So once I have everything all painted, the Home Sweet Home, I then go ahead and I peel up the tape on the three sides just to make sure that I'm not moving anything, to be a little extra careful. And then I peel back the stencil, and oh, that is so satisfying. Look at that. I think that looks, I'm so excited. I love how this is coming together. I am so excited. Once that has set up and dried, I go over it with some Mod Podge to protect it. This is going outside. I want to make sure that it's nice and protected, and I was not going in with just a little bit of Mod Podge. I was going in with a lot of Mod Podge. What I did not show is that I actually used that same white chalk paint on the back of my sign, and I painted that out. I may at some point go in and do something else on the back, but right now I just painted it white just to kind of give a little bit of a finished look. Once the Mod Podge had dried, now I'm going in with some twine in order to hang this sign. So I'm just using some hot glue and placing the twine on top of that. I just doubled the twine up. I cut it fairly long and then doubled it up. And I'm putting the twine right into that. And then I'm placing some hot glue on top of that again, just to really make sure it is nice and secure and not going anywhere. Because this is going outside, this is something that you might want to check on once in a while, because if it's hot, and it does get hot here in Texas, that can affect my hot glue at times. And so I may have to just re-hot glue it, or E6000 might even do better at some point. So just keep that in mind. So I took one strand under and one strand over and just tied that into a knot on one side, knowing where I needed the placement. Now, this is wiggling, as you can see. So let me show you my special little tip in order to keep this sign in place. Oh, here it is. I used my foot. I placed my foot down so the sign will not move, so that I can tie a knot. Yep, there you go, folks. There's my secret, my foot. And now it's time to decorate this in any way that I want to, and I can change it up all year long with any sort of holiday or season or anything like that. So since 4th of July is just around the corner, I wanted to go ahead and add these stars. I think that this is perfect. I love these. I think these are great to put on there. So I just had two packs of these to put on there, and using some pipe cleaners and some hot glue onto the back of those so that I can change that out. I just added the stars straight on here. By just twisting the pipe cleaner around the wreath, I just twisted a few times, and then I didn't want to cut the pipe cleaner, so I actually just flipped it over and then just twirled it around, and then that was just fine. I think that this turned out so cute this way. I absolutely loved it. It is perfect for 4th of July, and I love that you can see it from the street. But that is not it. I actually have some lemons, but I made them out of pineapple that I also picked up from Dollar Tree. So let me show you quickly how I did that. So the outcome I wanted was to have basically a circle. So I'm using the bottom of one pineapple to create the curve so that I will eventually cut that top off the pineapple. So once I have that curve, I'm going in with my box cutter, and just like I did earlier on the mason jar, I'm scoring the front of the pineapple, and I also score the back of the pineapple. And eventually I'm able to get that pineapple top removed. Once I have that pineapple top removed, I do use the sandpaper to smooth out those rough edges, and I get that nice and smooth. Then I go in with a ruler and I mark off the center of the pineapple and mark it with a pencil. And then I actually like to use the ruler as a guide to keep my line straight as I am scoring my pineapple in the center to cut the circle in half so that I now have 2 lemon wedges. Now I paint all of my wedges with Waverly's chalk paint in white to give them a nice base coat. Once the white paint has dried, now it's time for me to sketch out the lemon. I cannot just free paint this, I have to sketch it out. So I use the pencil and I first sketch out the rind because that helps me to know where to do the rest of the lemon. So in order to create the main part of the lemon, they're just triangles, and I like to do 5 triangles. I think that's probably the best way to do that. And I start off with a middle triangle, and then I do the 2 edges, and then I fill it in. And because I'm using pencil, if I make a mistake, it's not a big deal. I just erase it and I adjust my triangles until I have it exactly the way that I want it. Once I have everything sketched out, I go in with a colored Maize. This is Waverly's chalk paint in Maize, and I paint everything in that. The paintbrushes that I'm using, I got in a pack. They were just under $5 from Hobby Lobby, and I used a coupon, and they were in a pack of 4. I love these. They all have a really good sharp edge to them, and they come in the different sizes. I am so happy. I've washed these a few times so far. Definitely a great set to have for all the different little bit of detailed work that I've been doing. So as I'm going in and I'm painting these, I am making sure that I'm doing a good job on the points. I also make sure that I paint the rind and the edge of it. And if there's any boo-boos or anything that I need to clean up, I go back in with the white chalk paint to clean that up. I set it aside, I let it dry when it's all done, and there you have a super cute, and I would think it's a pretty easy little lemon wedge. I don't think it was too difficult. The hardest part would have been cutting it out, and honestly, that was kind of fun. So just like the stars, I have 6 lemon wedges. I started out with 3 pineapples that I cut up. I love how interchangeable this wreath is, and I think it looks so cute with the little lemon wedges on it as well. I am so excited to have this extra large wreath to decorate for the different holidays and seasons, but I would love to hear from you. How would you decorate it? Let me know that in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, could you please give it a big thumbs up and make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you enjoy budget decor and DIYs, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!